The Hammer Podcast will not be heard this month. In its place, we give you the following special presentation.
Blah.
Wrong show.
Sorry. Batman!
So much for the script.
Legends of the Superheroes. For centuries, the world has been protected by a group of extraordinary men and women who have dedicated themselves to fighting crime.
Greetings, and welcome to Legends of the Superheroes, a production of thehammerstrikes.com. My name is Gene Hendricks, and in this show we'll be exploring the live-action appearances of your favorite comic book heroes. This time out, I am pleased to welcome the dynamic duo of Back to the Bins, Mr. Paul Spataro and Dr. Bill Robinson. How are you guys?
Doing good,
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you for agreeing to be on.
Thank you for having me on the... Wait, this is the Batman TV show. I am in the wrong place.
I haven't been invented yet.
So yes, we are talking about the Batman 66 TV show, the granddaddy of all live-action superhero television shows. How did you guys first come upon this? Because I'm pretty sure it wasn't when it was originally broadcast.
Well, I think Paul was a head writer, wasn't he?
You know,
I'm trying to be nice here.
Well, there's no need to be quite that nice because I actually do remember it in first run.
Wow.
I was 4, 5, 6 years old during those 3 years, and I remember sitting and watching it at night. I can't say I have, really, really clear memories of the episodes and watching them. I remember the thing I remember specifically from back then was always just being fascinated by the cliffhanger nature of it when they had the 2-part episodes. And not being, at 4, 5, and 6 years old, not being totally cognizant of the fact that it really was just totally goofy and a spoof.
Well, I think that the show works very well on multiple levels there. Just like with the Looney Tunes cartoons, you can enjoy it as a kid thinking that, oh, this is, just funny, this is straight up action and everything. And then when you get to an adult, you look back at it and you say, okay, I see what they're doing here, and I watch it now occasionally. I just watched 2 episodes tonight, as a matter of fact, and you look at, and the one impression I take away as an adult is this is a show where the guest star can come in and overact as much as they want to.
Vincent Price.
Liberace.
Oh, yeah.
Playing the 2 different parts. Was it? I'm trying to remember now. It was Fingers and Harry.
I never noticed that till now.
And then you want to see him overact, see when he's Harry, like the bad version of himself.
Oh, I remember that.
It was classic overacting.
With the deep, gruff voice.
Exactly. Yeah, Liberace, people are threatened by you.
Ooh, I'm scared.
But, I mean, colorful villains, as a 5-year-old watching that, like I said, the humor of it was lost on me, but I remember really enjoying the show at the time. Now, like I said, I guess you guys, neither of you was born when it was first on, so you would have had to have discovered it sometime later.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember it distinctly, probably when I was 5 or 6, watching it because it was on every afternoon. So we're talking about 1974, 75, and I would catch it. I would come home from school and it would be on like at 3 or 4 o'clock, and I believe it usually was 2 episodes back to back on the local station that I had. So, and then it was on every day, so I didn't have to wait. Like you're saying, it was on nightly before, weekly before, right?
No, when it was first on, it was actually on, I would think it was Wednesday and Thursday nights.
Oh, okay.
So there really wasn't much of a layover for the cliffhanger.
Oh, okay. And I remember as a kid that the campiness was lost on me. I didn't understand it as camp. It was, to me, that was what Batman was. And it, it was fun. It was suspenseful. It was scary. Oh, how are they going to get out of it? Oh my God, the Riddler's got him in a giant cake of quicksand. How are they ever going to get out of that?
That's serious stuff, man.
Yeah. Oh no. What to do? And I mean,
Bookworm's going to squeeze them in a giant cookbook now.
Oh, Frank
The man
Gorshin.
had is trying to get his cowl. Just totally silly stuff, but
They don't mean this, Batman.
when you're 5 years old, it's great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's about the age I discovered it too. That was 80, 81, something like that. Where same as with you, Bill. I would come home from school. I think it's one of the things that my parents said, "Oh, you'll like this. Let's watch this." Because I don't think I was reading any Batman comics at that point. I wasn't really reading much of anything at that point. I was in kindergarten. But they knew I liked Super Friends. So they said, "Oh, well, Batman's also here. You can watch him live action and stuff." And again, I didn't get that it was anything silly. It was just, "Oh my God, they're doing this to him. He's behind the shooting gallery thing, and Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara are going to shoot through and kill them. How are they going to get out of this?"
I'll give Adam West credit for being a good actor, because when you watch it, you get the distinct feeling that he didn't know it was a spoof, and that's not possible.
Right.
So he must have been a pretty good actor to at least have been able to give that impression.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
And I also remember one of my earliest memories of it is being impressed with the Batmobile and the Batcopter and all of the Bat gadgets.
Like at the time, clearly labeled.
Yes, very clearly labeled, and one for every possible situation you could have. But I remember that seeming ultra cool at the time.
Oh yeah. Well, the Batmobile still is cool today.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't that made out of like a Lincoln Continental?
It was some type of. It wasn't a production car. It was like a concept.
No, but like the body, like the frame. Vamp, Paul, Vamp.
Well, they have it every year at New York Comic Con, and they had it at Eternal Con last year. And then if you want, you can give them $10 and they'll let you stand next to it and take your picture for you. It's like, all right, you know what, I'll just stand on this side of the ropes and take a picture without me in it.
The 1966 Batmobile. In 1955, the Lincoln division of Ford Motor Company designed and built a futuristic concept car called the Lincoln Futura. It was built entirely by hand in Turin, Italy, at a cost of $250,000, and like many concept cars, was never put into production. In the mid-1960s, George Barris of Barris Custom City acquired the car for $1 directly from Ford. Fast forward to August 1965, they asked George to build him a Batmobile, and it had a reaction. Basically he turned that into it. So it was a Lincoln Futura concept car from 55, which would explain the big fins.
You mean the bat wings, don't you?
Oh, yeah, that's it.
What was the line when they would start up the car?
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Turbines to speed. Wait. Seatbelts. Okay, now.
Yes. And the fact that it was actually registered is hilarious. It had Gotham City license plates on it.
It had those cool bat hubcaps, too.
Can you just picture Batman standing in the DMV line?
Great Scott!
I love seeing, Alfred driving it.
Yeah.
Alfred in the Batman costume?
Batman.
No, nobody will ever figure that one out. Wasn't that the King Tut episode? Where King Tut had figured out who he was, so Alfred dressed up as Batman and Bruce Wayne was there at the same time.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed when I went to college and they didn't have an Egyptology professor.
Who should have been wearing a hard hat.
Who you could hit on the head and turn into an ancient pharaoh.
That's the other appeal of the show, is all the villains and the cameos that they would have.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how many people they had as they were walking up the building that would open up the window and then come out at them.
Oh, yeah. Sammy Davis, Jerry Lewis, Ted Cassidy, who was Lurch on...
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Also on episode of Star Trek, I think that same year.
Oh, yeah.
That's what a little girl's made of.
Yeah.
He was Rock.
Yes. Rock the big android.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines from that was it... favorite line, and I can't remember. It's when he's squeezing the crap out of Kirk, and he's like, survival cancels programming.
Oh.
This is not a Star Trek podcast.
I've already done a podcast on Star Trek. Now, one thing I didn't know until later, because, like I said, I got into reading the comics later, was that some of these villains were just made up for the show.
Shame.
Oh, yeah.
Shame, oh god.
Come back, Shame.
Well, was King Tut actually created for the show?
Yeah,
And
King Tut was not...
Egghead was a different character, and he was not called Egghead.
Right.
But he
And
was
they
based on
actually-
Batman.
And they took Mr. Zero from the comics and renamed him Mr. Freeze.
Right. And I'm trying to remember, the Bookworm was an original.
Mm-hmm. The one I just watched tonight, Marcia, Queen of Diamonds.
Joan Collins was the Siren.
Yes.
Yeah, Marcia, Queen of Diamonds. That was
Carolyn Jones.
Carolyn Jones.
Another Addams Family alum.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and also
The Lilac.
No,
God.
Frank Gorshin played the Riddler, but so did John Astin, who was
Yes.
another.
And three Catwomen.
Mm-hmm.
Eartha Kitt, Julie Newmar,
Yes.
and Lee Merriweather.
Very good.
Now, which was the one? Julie Newmar.
Three Mr. Freezes as well.
Right.
Was it three? Yeah, there was Otto Preminger, Eli Wallach. Who was the other one?
George Sanders.
Now, there was, didn't Catwoman supposedly die? Or didn't she fall into the Bat nuclear reactor?
She died in a number of episodes. She fell into the reactor. She fell into a chasm.
She had 7 lives, guys.
Yeah.
Or 9 lives, excuse me.
9 lives. Cats only have 7 lives in your house, Paul.
They don't even have that many in my house.
Yeah, that was a running gag, I think, is every Catwoman episode, she died at the end.
Oh, False Face.
Oh, man.
Played by question mark.
Malachi Throne was actually.
No, but yeah. It was,
yeah, that's true.
But at the end of the episode, they didn't actually credit him.
And if for those of you that are thinking, God, that name sounds familiar. If you remember Star Trek, he was the imaginary Commodore that Kirk wrote in the 2-part episode that was a retelling of the original pilot,
The
Menagerie. Yep.
He was also Paddock. Wasn't that his name?
Yes, he was Senator Pat.
In Unification.
Yes. And he was all through the 70s. Good character actor. Actually, he died in 2013.
Now, do you guys have a favorite villain from the show?
I think, personally, I think the Riddler was my favorite. And in either incarnation, but more Gorshin.
Well, I think John Astin only played him once.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think Gorshin did it, then Astin did it, and then Gorshin came back and did it.
But up until a few years ago, I didn't know that Frank Gorshin did impersonations. And then when I saw him do them, I didn't realize until I saw him on, of all things, CSI. And they had him on there, and he was doing Burt Lancaster. I'm like, oh my God, he is awesome. And then I found
He used to be on a show called The Copycats back in the 60s, where they would just basically do imitation stuff, and to my preteen brain, it was hilarious. Something I haven't seen in years and years and years, so I don't know if nostalgia would overrule reality.
yeah, sometimes it's best not to go back. Oh, but nobody's favorite villain is Art Carney as the Archer? Or Shelley Winters as Ma Parker?
And you can't get away from Cesar Romero as the Joker.
Yeah, for me, I think it's a tie between Cesar Romero and Gorshin's Riddler, because they were both over the top. And Cesar Romero was balls enough to say, I ain't shaving my mustache.
Yeah.
Paint it.
Which looked good back then. Today, not so much.
HD is not kind, my friend. TVs are much better now.
Wasn't Cesar Romero the one of the 2 people for Quienes Mas Macho? Does anybody recall this? I'm out on a limb here.
It sounds familiar, but
it was a bit on Saturday Night Live, I believe, and I don't remember who did it, but they would ask, ¿Quién es más macho? Cesar Romero or Ricardo Montalban?
Was that with? Did Billy Crystal do that?
I think it was, but I only have a vague recollection of it. But I'm pretty sure it was Cesar Romero that was the was the second, or the first name in that.
Well, we have to mention Burgess Meredith as the Penguin. Because, I mean...
one of my favorite moments is in the movie when they sell the salvage submarine to him without realizing it, and he went under the false name P.N. Gwyn.
And they took the screws off of it and put giant flippers on the back of the submarine.
Yes.
Salvage submarine. just a concept.
Yeah. One of the favorite bits, I know it's in the movie, I'm not sure how much of it's in the series, but when people like the Penguin and the Joker go on a robbery or something, they wear masks.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell that's the Joker under that mask.
And then all their lackeys have, wear black shirts that have, like, didn't they have, like, the weird names on it?
It has their name on it, yeah.
Yeah, which... I did a little research because I was going through the cast list, and one of the goon guys, I saw a name and it said Joe E. Tata, and I was like, man, that name sounds familiar. And it was a small picture, so I blew it up. It was the guy that ran the diner in Beverly Hills 90210. He played a goon in Batman.
It was all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Never saw that show, so I can't comment.
Well, my wife loved the shit out of that show.
Okay.
It's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. But another little weird thing I discovered, Alfred the butler.
Mm-hmm.
This is all in IMDb, so it's not like I'm some super historian. He was a cousin of the former British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain.
No kidding.
Did he give up often?
Well, I wanted the part, but I gave up. So
he actually tried for the part of Batman, but as a concession, he just took Alfred.
And his second wife, Aileen Dickens Bocher Huxley, nicknamed Gypsy, don't ask me, was a great-granddaughter of Charles Dickens. So this guy had some, he had some gravitas in there. I mean, he had connections, good and bad, I guess you could say. But it was like there was so much about this man, because there's not much else. I think I remember him in one or two other things. Seeing him going, oh yeah, that's Alfred the Butler. But he'll always be Alfred the Butler,
right?
He was in episodes of Ironside, Kojak, Night Gallery. Oh, he was in the Beverly Hillbillies too. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through real quick. But yeah, he'll always be Alfred. He'll always be Alfred to me. Alan Napier, and as like a homage to him in the Tim Burton movie, they had named
Charles Napier.
Was it Jack Napier?
Charles Napier, I think, is the actor.
Yes, you're right.
Who was the guy that was the band leader of the band in the Blues Brothers?
Yes, that's right. Who's gonna stop us? You, Stein.
But no, they honored him with the name of Jack Napier. That was the Joker's name in the Tim Burton Batman.
I always wondered where that name came from.
Yeah, that was one thing I discovered in my digging. I know nothing about Aunt Harriet, though.
I know she was annoying. I can pretty much confirm that. But beyond that, well, she was another character that was created specifically for the TV series. She did not exist in the comic book. And what's a little interesting is that the show was based on the campy 1950s type Batman issues that were coming out. But what's kind of ironic is that the series had, shortly before the TV show went on, had gone to a much more serious, darker feel. It was getting away from that campiness, and then the TV show went on. It was like they had to scramble back to campy a little. Well, because at least in the beginning, it was a phenomenon.
Weren't the comics kind of on the verge of cancellation when the TV show came out?
That's what they say, but I don't always trust that.
No, it's just something I heard and figured, hey, this is the show to talk about.
They say that so often, though, and it seems like I don't know if it becomes apocryphal or if it's reality. Right. But I mean, you hear that about a lot of different series, but series that you think of as the tentpole franchises. Oh, it was on the verge of being canceled. I don't know if I buy that. It may be true. I can't tell you it's not. I can't give you any data to back up my lack of trust. But certainly, it seems a little questionable to me. All right, so the window guest stars, I got a list of them that I found.
Oh, great.
Appearances in order: Jerry Lewis, Dick Clark, Green Hornet and Kato, Sammy Davis Jr., Jose Jimenez, Howard Duff as Detective Sam Stone on Felony Squad, Colonel Klink, Lurch, Don Ho, Andy Devine as Santa Claus, Art Linkletter, Edward G. Robinson, Susie Knickerbocker, and Carpet King, real name unknown. That's all the window guests.
That's all of them?
Who's your Batman now, see?
Edward G. Robinson, let me see if you can come up with this one. Edward G. Robinson also has a Star Trek connection of a sort.
Ooh. Really?
It's a degree of separation, but he has one.
A degree of separation. Do 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 do. I'm running myself in circles because I'm thinking it has something to do with Jeffrey Hunter.
No. Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine is where the connection is.
Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine. Well, I know the guys that played the Klingons came back in Deep Space Nine, but I don't know the connection there.
Well, that wouldn't be a connection in Deep Space Nine. That would be to the original series.
Well, yeah. I mean, but they were the Klingons from the original series.
Right,
they just, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn over all our cards now.
Okay.
Because I don't think you're on the right track anyway, and this may not be quite a good enough trivia question to go too long with it. But the character of Garrick on Deep Space Nine, the actor, Andrew Robinson, Edward G. Robinson's son.
Oh yeah,
wow.
That's right.
See, the only trivia I knew about him is he was the villain in the first Dirty Harry movie.
Yep, Scorpio.
Yes. And he also played Liberace.
Did he really? That I didn't know.
Let me check that, but I swear he played Liberace. I mean, he.
I swear it.
I know he did. It was like in some TV movie back in the 80s to 70s. 80s to 70s. What the hell am I saying?
You're aging like Merlin here. Okay.
I feel happy. Yeah, Liberace TV movie, 1988.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And he also played in the Rock Hudson TV movie. Coincidence? I think not.
Interesting.
Now, I don't know if you guys were conscious of it. I know I wasn't.
I'm conscious of Precious Little.
But was there any obvious, beyond the addition of Batgirl, anything obvious about your recollection of the show when they switched from the 2-episode format to the single-episode format?
No, I never noticed it.
Yeah.
Probably because I didn't really see it in a season-type format that it was coming out, all the time.
Right, because it was on afternoons and they would just run 2 episodes. It didn't matter what. Yeah,
it was just in heavy rotation, so I didn't. Back then, I had no concept of what a season was. Just like with Star Trek reruns back then, it wasn't until years later that I realized there was 3 seasons, and it took me forever to see the last one that I had never seen. In fact, there's some Batmans that I realized by looking through this list that I've never seen.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't believe there are any that I've never seen. But I don't recall being cognizant of the single episodes until, looking at it in retrospect.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that Roger Carmichael was even on the show, so I think I've never seen the one that he's in. Roger C. Carmichael, right? Is that or
Carmel?
Carmel, the one that played Harry Mudd.
Yeah, Roger C. Carmel.
Yeah, because it's one of those things that I know. Watching it now, I pick up on these things because in the 2-episode format, the end of the first episode was cliffhanger. End of the second episode was some type of knowing wink to the camera, basically. Something that Adam West says that the audience he's more talking to the audience than anyone else. And then in the third season, where they went to the single episodes, the end was always, oh, the Joker is off doing this. Come back next time and see what he's up to.
Mm-hmm.
And just, Batgirl.
Batgirl was hot.
That was a great addition to the show. In fact, she just celebrated her birthday. I think it was yesterday, as of this recording.
Interesting. But I prefer to think of her as forever young.
Yes.
Or
I think she's in her 70s now.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, May 16th, 1937 was her birthday.
Oof. Don't you think she can get into that bat suit? Well, maybe.
Depends. Did she age like Linda Carter? Because
Well,
Linda Carter can still get in that Wonder Woman suit.
But she. I always got a kick out of the Batgirl theme too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah, that sexy sounding Batman music with the yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They tried to make her as girly as possible, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
They succeeded.
They had lace on the motorcycle.
Oh, so the third season, that was when they would. That I guess I did. So that was the change, that they always had Batgirl was in the credits, or was she in all the
she
third
would ride
season?
her motorcycle by.
Yes,
she would go by in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they all three ran towards the camera and.
No. It was
still just the two.
It was still Batman, Robin, but where you have in the first two seasons you have Batman punch, then Robin punch, then Batman punch again. In the third, it's Batman punch, Robin punch, Batgirl swinging and kick.
No, I think there was a point where they were actually going to have her replace Robin and remove him from the show because for whatever reason they were not happy with Burt Ward. I think he was living the good life. And it's kind of like Fredo over in Vegas. He was banging cocktail waitresses two at a time. Somebody had to straighten him out a little bit.
Yeah, those opening credits. Those are iconic now.
Oh, yeah.
One of the weird things about them was I could never understand the part in the credits as a little kid watching. All the crooks were lined up in a row, right? Mm-hmm. Going from the right to the left, like walking forward, and then there'd be like bam, biff, pow off to the side. And then you'd see them flying through the air, going past the other ones. If I remember correctly, they're all like broken and mangled looking.
Yeah,
it's like, my God, that's scary for a little kid. Oh,
it was a cartoon. How scary can it be?
You're like, well, why do they just line up like that? If they see these guys are getting their butts kicked in front of them. Oh.
Now, I'd be curious to hear what you guys think as far as the popular conception that the Batman TV series either retarded the progress or actually caused it to go backwards as far as comic books being considered, a viable part of pop culture as opposed to just a children's medium.
Well, I think that it promoted comic books coming into pop culture because this was an extremely popular television show that you didn't necessarily read the comics before you watched the show, and it brought Batman more into the public mindset. I mean, before this, except in comics, he was in a couple movie serials, and that was basically it. Right.
But I mean, to play devil's advocate, because I don't necessarily buy the point, but a lot of people will point to like when there's an article in, say, New York Times or in something, and, they'll have to open it up with, pow, bam, comic books are in style or something like that. And they look at it and they cringe and they say, comic books aren't pow, bam. They're, they can be a serious art form and people won't take it serious because of Batman. And that's one of the concepts that's set forth, and people are very bothered by that. I don't necessarily buy it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, people are going to be bothered by whatever. Really. I mean, it's the same like anytime Comic-Con is in town, they always, they'll may have a reporter there all day, but then on the news you'll see the fat guy in the Spider-Man outfit. Which will not be me. I don't wear spandex well.
Well, when I was watching this, and pretty much at the same time I was watching the Super Friends, I didn't really have any working knowledge of actual comic books. And one of the first comics I remember getting, although it didn't really kick off my collecting, you and I covered one of the comics that I first got. My first that one Superman issue I had with the Master Jailer.
Yes.
But there was also a Batman issue, and it was one where Catwoman, I believe, is getting gunned down on the cover, and then it's like a split cover, and then the later Batman's getting gunned down on the cover. And I remember I got that in an Easter basket of all things. Happy Easter! Bam! So that was my first introduction to comics, but it didn't. My comic collecting didn't kick in until when I would say probably in my early teens, like maybe 13 or 12. Mm-hmm. So, and then that was when I actually started in a whole different direction. But one of my first comics was a Superman and a Batman. But I didn't really. It was dark, but I wasn't cognizant enough to make it, to say, oh, this is, bringing this down. And to me now, I still don't think it does. I know some people think, oh, the campiness, the campiness hurts it, but I don't think so. I mean, you can have different versions of it. It's different. It was a different time. It was a different take.
Well, and I even remember when the Tim Burton Batman came out, before it was actually finished, when they just announced that they were going to make a new Batman movie and that Michael Keaton was starring in it with Jack Nicholson. And the popular thought at that time was that it was going to be taking up the Batman TV series tone. Mm-hmm. That it was not going to be a serious movie, and it was going to be, more or less a comedy. And people, in their 20s were looking forward to this movie. So I don't think it's the negative on popular opinion that some people view it as. Did it maybe make people not take comics seriously? Maybe, but I get the feeling those people were inclined not to take it seriously anyway.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's still people to this day who will not take comics seriously because they think it's somehow below them. But I usually find that most of my friends who are comic fans are usually pretty intelligent people. And the people who are putting it down are not quite as intelligent as the people who are the ones who are reading it. So
they're putting it down because they can't understand it, is what you're saying.
Not that they can't understand it, but
that they can't differentiate between the two.
Let's just say that they're closed-minded to it.
They put the Donald Duck comics in the same basket as Superman and Spider-Man. Everything.
Yeah,
it's comics are comics. They're all for kids.
Yeah, exactly. And in this day and age, the majority of comics aren't meant for kids.
Not at all.
So it's almost a silly thought. But if they're going to be closed-minded, that's fine.
Yeah. And something I didn't think about much until I had talked to you guys about doing this show was you have the people that are proponents of Batman can solve anything, can beat anybody, etc., etc. That comes from this show. Because he always has the exact right tool, he always has the exact neurons connecting to solve the puzzle.
With some really questionable logic sometimes.
Yeah, so some of those riddles and leaps of logic he came to was
that can only mean this! What about these other 5 things? No, it can only mean this! Shut up, Robin.
The Second National Bank. Two-Face. Okay.
Who never appeared in the show.
That's true.
I think he would have been just too dark of a character.
Oh, yeah. Unless you got Tommy Lee.
I was just going to say that. I didn't see him that dark, but,
And I am a fan of Tommy Lee Jones' acting ability, but that was awful.
Yes.
What, you didn't like it when he got
Two-Face.
Dead serious?
Let me play Two-Face as if it's Jack Nicholson doing the Joker.
And even the makeup. He had the Joker's smile on the scarred half of his face.
That was just...
Yeah, and he looked completely insane when he would, he looked more like Cesar Romero than Jack when he was playing Two-Face.
Yeah. Bringing it back to the show, though, Cesar Romero, as far as the Joker goes, I mean, the guy had acting chops, but I liked his Joker because he would turn off the laughing and stuff.
Oh, yeah, and he was menacing. He would get menacing and evil.
And that was cool. That was the first time I ever saw the Joker like that, because all I had ever seen is the Joker on Scooby-Doo.
Now, who did the voice on Scooby-Doo? Because it was a very...
Larry Storch.
That's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Corporal Agar?
Yeah.
Corporal Agar did the Joker. Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
He was no Mark Hamill.
But up until that
I'm
point,
I'm glad you knew the answer to that, because it would have been bothering me.
Batman's the Batman show, specifically the Joker episodes, introduced me to Pagliacci.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Pagliacci. Well, okay.
Not one of your better musical interludes there, Doc.
No, I don't speak Italian. Or whatever it's sung in.
Yes, I believe it is Italian.
Which that's a pretty dark story if you ever read it or peruse it. But anyway, this isn't the Pagliacci
so she's
podcast.
the Romero.
But he was pretty dark.
Yeah, and he had his, the gag bits and everything, but when he got serious about something, like something didn't go his way, he got nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that, I didn't have this concept of the Joker doing that. I thought he was always like, oh, we gotta do this for the gag or just to get the money or something. I never knew him. I mean, it's not like he killed anyone. It wasn't that kind of show. But he would, just the look on his face, wow.
And it was, and yet it was never the type of thing that, at least to my knowledge, would give young kids nightmares.
Right.
So it straddled a fine line there, and I think it did it well.
Now, what did you guys think about the BAMs and POWs and stuff in the fight scenes? Because as a kid, I loved that, and today I can see what they were doing. They don't want to actually show anyone getting hit by a punch.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, that was how to tone down the violence effectively.
Mm-hmm.
But as a kid, I liked it, and it didn't dawn on me that they weren't showing the punch. It was just such a big punch that it made that pow.
Yeah,
right,
You know, that's kind of the way you look at it. So, yeah, I have no problem with it, and I don't mind the campiness of it. It doesn't bother me. I think, if you're looking at comics culture and how it bleeds into TV and movies and whatever, it's the type of culture that can handle all different types of styles, one of which is comedic. And that's what this was. It doesn't, it in no way limits other shows and movies and things from being serious. So I'm not bothered by it the way some people are.
Yeah, I look at it just like I look at pretty much, anything else with comics, is I compartmentalize. So, like, the Batman live-action TV show is different than the Batman comic books, is different than the animated shows, different than this animated show, or that animated show, or that animated show. The closest this one comes to is Batman Brave and the Bold from Cartoon Network.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, which I loved.
Oh, that was great. That was another one where they did it specifically like this, just to have a different flavor than the animated series, Batman the Animated Series, which was much more serious. Still technically a kid's show, but it had a much more serious turn. Whereas this show and Brave and the Bold they could be funny when they wanted to be.
Or Batman in the Lego movie now. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have not seen that yet. My wife and daughter saw it, but I didn't see it.
I haven't seen it yet either.
My 16-year-old went to see it with his buddies and came home and said, "Dad, you have to go see this." So we went back and we saw it. Not quite as funny as it's built up to be, but the Batman scenes were actually pretty amusing. I won't spoil it any further than that.
Well, I do remember the one scene that they had of Batman in the trailer where they have to press a button to open the gate, and he's throwing batarangs, it's like 20 batarangs, finally hits it and says, "Got it in one," and zooms off.
Yeah, that's pretty much the tone of him. Well, in the TV series, it was in Brave and the Bold. It was Diedrich Bader. Right. This was I can't remember the guy from Arrested Development. Joe from Arrested Development.
Will Arnett.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Although I haven't seen the movie, but I know that. Don't ask me why.
Because you know Arrested Development.
No, I don't even watch that.
Whatever. But we digress again.
Yes.
Yeah. Now,
we're digressing all over the place.
So, in the show...
If you listen to Back to the Bins, you should
what
know
they
that
do.
it's going to happen.
It's all they do, and they won't stop.
I got nowhere else to go.
Tangent after tangent. Make it stop.
But sometimes the tangents work all the way around the circle and get back to where you were in the beginning.
Now, Adam West, a.k.a. Batman, In the show, did he ever, I'm trying to think back now, other than the obvious romance, he was always romancing, it seems like he was romancing the evil villainesses. But was there, I don't really remember any non-villainous romantic interests, like a Vicky Vale in the in the show. It was always
was Miss Kitka. He was very upset when that didn't play out.
Yes.
Yeah, like he couldn't see that coming.
Of course he couldn't. There wasn't a label on her.
Villain.
Yeah.
Now, my understanding is when the show first went off the air, Adam West was very militant about not wanting to be connected to it anymore. But in his older years has embraced it in a way that, well, not even, I don't even think it took that long. I think by the time he started doing the voice
because
of Super Friends.
Well, he did the voice on the New Adventures of Batman, the Filmation show before the Super Friends.
At that point, I guess he was embracing it. But for the first few years, not so much. I know they did some sort of a reunion thing, and they had Dick Gautier playing Batman in it, because Adam West would not do it.
Well, going back to the title of this series of shows, Adam West was in Legends of the Superheroes. Adam West and Burt Ward. Let me see when that aired.
Wasn't that in the late 70s? At least mid 70s.
Looking it up right now.
79. I'm just going to keep throwing years out there until you find it.
It was 79. So yeah, so
by that time he had already been doing the Filmation one, because I think the Filmation one was around 77.
And it was Hanna-Barbera production, so it was concurrent with the Super Friends.
Okay. But like I said, I'm pretty sure they did some sort of a reunion thing where Dick Gautier ended up playing Batman.
Oh, yeah, he was the voice of Batman on the Super Friends, like you were saying. And I remember the first time I saw him in a movie, there was a movie where he played a reporter. And I'm like, that's the voice of Batman. That's the guy playing Batman? Oh, my God, he's this nerdy-looking guy with glasses and a skinny frame. I was just like, what the heck? That's not what I pictured. Much like when I saw Paul for the first time in person. Wow!
No, I was not a skinny guy.
He's taller than me.
Taller
You're huge.
Skinny, no. That's all I can tell you. Then again, how many of us are skinny? Come on.
Good point. Yeah.
You got your Chris Honeywell and your Dave.
He's a mutant. And Chris is like the guy when I was in the Navy, little freaking skinny guy. He'd sit there and eat like entire key lime pies and never gain an ounce, and I'm just swelling up watching him eat, little son of a...
Should this be the real-life tales with Dr. Bill Robinson?
No, that's okay. That was a snippet.
Copyright back to the bins.
Yes.
So did anybody have a thing? Anybody else have a thing for Julie Newmar?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was more of an Yvonne Craig person.
I liked them both, but I think I like Julie Newmar just a little bit better. Maybe because she was in the show first, so she made the impression on me first. But I mean, they did a nice job with the costuming. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean Lee Merriweather was no slouch, but Julie Newmar had more, and Eartha Kitt, although she was like more over the top. Julie Newmar was like a smoldering sex kitten.
Oh, Lee Merriweather was only ever in the movie.
Yes,
true. Yeah.
And I think Eartha Kitt was actually only in one episode also.
Well, I know she was Catwoman in the third season. I don't remember how often, though.
Didn't she have the cat car?
Yes.
And was Julie Newmar... Who was it that had the... what's her name? Damn it. I'm just having my senior moment. My Wilford Brimley moment, sorry. Petula Clark. Was she Catwoman's hench person?
Oh, yeah, there was somebody that was, because she was macking on Robin, right?
Yeah.
Was it called Pussycat? Yes. I just found, but her name, it was Leslie Gore.
Leslie Gore, not Petula Clark.
Yes, at the edge with the teen anthem, It's My Party.
I'll cry if I want to. Didn't she also sing Don't Sleep in the Subway?
Don't sleep in, what?
It's because, what kind of guy was she going out with? Just saying.
No. Yeah, Leslie Gore, she was Pussycat. What's new, Pussycat? Whoa.
She was dressed in pink.
Yeah, and she had little pink ears.
Yeah. Okay, now I remember.
Oh, sorry.
Pretty woman. That's every time you do that, I think Roy Orbison. I'm sorry. Now, just to totally tangent again. When they did the Traveling Wilburys, and Roy Orbison was in there, apparently they wanted him to do that growl in every song, and he had to say, "No, we got to limit it," because everybody thought it was like the coolest thing when he would do it.
Come on, do it.
Come on, do the growl.
Oh, another prominent Hood in the show was only in one episode, and he is titled as Hood number 1. Is Victor French. Anybody know who Victor French is?
From Little House on the Prairie?
Yep, and Highway to Heaven. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Highway to Heaven. No, sorry.
Yes, he was a hoodlum. Also on the show. As was Sid Haig.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
Sid Haig played in Jason the Star Command as the villain.
I still don't know who that is.
Okay.
I've never seen Jason the Star Command, I'm sad to say.
Oh, that was one of those live-action Saturday morning space shows back in the...
Is that the one that James Doohan was in?
Yes. Maybe. Because there was one that had Jonathan Harris from Lost in Space. It may have been that one. I'm not sure. It was like the same special effects stock shots.
Right.
They get the two shows. But Sid Haig was also... He was in a recent horror movie. Oh, shoot. 1,000 Maniacs or something? Oh, man, it's a... Anyway. And another little guest, another Star Trek tie-in was Lawrence Montague? Montague? I can never spell or
Lawrence.
speak. Lawrence is the easy part. He played Stan. Everybody knows Stan.
Still, I would have Stan.
And exactly. Still, I would have Stan. He was also in, he played Mr. Glee in 2 episodes. So I don't know if that was with Liberace. Yeah. Mr. Glee.
Yeah, it could be with the Joker.
Oh, could be.
So, as far as the vehicles go, we already talked about the Batmobile. Mm-hmm. Were you guys as excited as I was whenever I would see the Batcopter or the Batboat come out?
I seem to remember only seeing them in the movie, though.
Well, they built them in the movie, which was between seasons 1 and 2. But then they used them in the season 2 and season 3 occasionally.
Yeah, I can't specifically remember seeing them, but I did think they were, like, ultra cool.
Yeah, they didn't have any bat cycles. The only one that had that was Batgirl, right?
No, they had a bat cycle because Robin had the sidecar.
That's right. It was a sidecar. Yeah, that's right.
He could eject this little Robin car to go out and drive around.
At least that's what he told Robin.
I don't envy Burt Ward having to sit like that because he could not actually sit down in that sidecar. He had to actually be on his knees and leaning forward because of the way the Robin thing was constructed.
Well, I mean, he was, if he was seeing a lot of cocktail waitresses, he was probably used to that position.
Well, according to Burt Ward, when they first started filming the show, like the first 5 days in a row, he was carted off the set to the emergency room.
Jeez.
What, for getting missed punches or something?
Missed punches, a special effect that burned him. Different things going on every time.
Run in his pantyhose.
I think he got he had a laceration one time. Wow. But he was just getting the shit beat out of him basically. And they would just constantly rush him back okay, come on, we got the production going, we got to get this done.
Now I'm picturing a rotating cast of Robins. We need another Robin.
Robin number 12 to the set, please. Robin number 12. Speaking of Robins, Rob Reiner was also in an episode as the delivery boy.
Big part.
Meathead. So some of the gadgets.
Oh yeah.
Like the one that always pops to mind is the big fold-out bulletproof shield.
I loved that shield. That was one of the coolest things. Mm-hmm. How do you fit that in your utility belt?
It's the same way with the bat rope, because anytime he needed a bat rope, there was suddenly this big container on the side of him. But when he did need it, it wasn't there.
Thank God you have, everything in there, like your bat anti-shock repellent. and by its very nature, wouldn't anti-shock repellent be a shock attractor?
Attractor?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
That was right next to the, what was it, the bat eel repellent or something? So it was in the bat copter. There were 4 canisters.
That was it. Once you took that utility belt away from him, he was done.
Yeah.
Batman somehow became the mad thinker and had all possibilities thought out and had something for everything.
Mm-hmm. And I heard an interview with Adam West. I think it was on Fat Man on Batman, that he said the reason he spoke the way he did is because he always pictured his Batman as always thinking of something. So he wasn't trying to be William Shatner. He had a reason behind it. That, he's always thinking, so that's why he would get this far-off look. And
it always looked to me like he was remembering the woman he was with the night before.
Oh, he was Bruce Wayne.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ah, yes, back to what I was thinking, Robin, yes. What is it, Batman? Nah, you're too young. Never mind.
And this goes with the comics as well, but it's very noticeable on this TV show. Where does Robin keep anything on his utility belt? It's just black leather.
Yeah.
No pockets or anything.
He keeps it in those large shoes he has. Those large little fairy
What's
slippers.
up with those fairy slippers? Yeah.
How come I don't get boots? What's up with this? You know how it is to run on my bare feet all damn day? And I get these skippy shorts? Come on.
Yeah, I think Robin is the only hero that is male and not allowed to wear pants. Because none of the women are allowed to wear pants. They always have to have bare legs. They have a long sleeve shirt, but they have to have bare legs. And then there's Robin.
Well, he did have tights, though. He wasn't bare-legged.
True.
Much more macho to wear pantyhose.
Yeah. Didn't Joe Namath wear pantyhose back then?
Yes, he did. In fact, they all did. I mean, that was a common football player thing to stay warm.
Apparently, it's a common horse rider thing too to prevent chafing.
Too much information.
See. Now at this point, if this was a TV show where I just went, you would see me look off to the side, and you'd see me like Bill Monday morning before he goes to work, and I'm slipping on a pair of pantyhose.
Thank you for that image.
Cut back to the podcast. I gotta try that.
Oh boy!
All right, I don't know if I can follow that up with anything.
How about the bat atomic pile they had in the middle of the city?
Well, the only purpose of that was to drop Catwoman into it.
Well, yeah.
That was when they. What did they do? They hid in the Batmobile, or did they drive it back themselves? I can't remember how they got in the Batcave. Because it was her, Penguin, and the Riddler. Weren't they all in the Batcave? Or was it just her?
No,
Or did I just create my own episode out of...
Well, because there have been a lot of instances where the villains have been in the Batcave. So I don't know if they were all there together.
But I thought there was one where they hid in the engine compartment. Because I distinctly remember the Penguin crawling out of the engine compartment of the Batmobile. Yeah. But then I also remember them getting in it and stealing it once or twice, too.
Or 10 times.
Yeah.
That was a running gag, too. Someone's stolen the Batmobile. Again.
Yeah.
And eventually he put in this wonderful anti-theft system. Where he covered the label that said starter, or the one that says ejection seat, with starter. He just flipped the panel down. The ultra top secret technology in the Batmobile, and everything has this 1-inch by 5-inch label on it.
Somebody went to town on that. Somebody got paid for those labels.
Yeah. Get
paid by the letter, baby. I got to keep cranking these out. Well, how about some of the villains' gadgets? Like the Mad Hatter. Like, all I got to do is hit you in the head to keep them eyeballs from popping out of the top of your hat.
Yeah.
To hypnotize me.
Or Bookworm. He had a reading lamp on his hat.
The great Roddy McDowall.
Yes.
Cornelius. Caesar. The Bookworm.
And the Mad Hatter in the animated series.
Oh, yes, that's true.
And let's not forget, what was he in Fright Night?
Vincent... I almost said D'Onofrio. No.
No, he was not Vincent D'Onofrio.
Peter Vincent, vampire hunter.
And he was Vincent in the Black Hole.
Yes, he was.
All right.
Again, tangenting all over the place.
I was trying to think who played the other one. It was the cowboy guy.
Shane?
No.
Shame?
No, in Black Hole.
Oh.
Slim Pickens played the other robot. Nothing like a robot with a Western accent. Yeah.
Because Shame was played by Uncle Ben.
Yes. Yep. Cliff Robertson, who was also Charlie, or was he Charlie? Charlie in Flowers for Algernon. Great book.
But the TV movie was called Charlie.
Yes, that's right. It was very sad. Very sad.
So was the book.
Yeah, well, I know, yeah, because the mouse dies, I think, or the mouse, and then Charlie just becomes.
He becomes Charlie again.
Becomes Charlie again. But, sometimes ignorance is bliss. So, Zsa Zsa Gabor was also on the show.
Yes, she was.
Darling.
But like I said, it was just a place for the villain to overact, which is basically all she did, ever.
Yeah, it was a place for somebody, hey, you want to be on here? Come on in. Oh, and one more Planet of the Apes tie-in. Another original Planet of the Apes actress that was in Batman?
There aren't that many original Planet of the Apes actresses. It's got to be Kim, what's her name? Zira. I can't think of her real name. And you're not going to help me, are you?
Of course not. When is he ever?
Hey.
He's the anchor around my neck on a general basis.
Oh, please.
Kim Hunter.
Nope.
No? Okay.
It was the other female actress.
Nope. Nova.
Linda Harrison.
I didn't think she was in anything else.
She played a cheerleader in 2 episodes. Cheerleader number 2. 2 episodes.
Is that the one where they were at the high school where the Joker came in? Do you guys remember that episode?
Vaguely.
They were at Dick's high school.
Joker goes to school.
The Joker, they're showing a film of the Joker for some reason, or it's an image, it's a static image, and suddenly gas comes out of the screen, and the Joker is standing on a couch behind the screen. But he wasn't there when they put the screen up. So it's one of these things like, okay, the Joker now can teleport. Interesting.
Scary.
That was back when they did the double episodes, and there was always a rhyme to the titles, because the 2 episodes were The Joker Goes to School, and then part 2 was he meets his match, the Grizzly Ghoul.
They were clever with the writing, at least. It wasn't exactly Shakespeare, but it kept you entertained. It wasn't like some shows of that era where you watch it and you're looking at like now, if I go back and I look at some of these shows, like, I enjoyed this? Really? Where here I can understand why I enjoyed it.
Well, one of my last little piece of trivia I've got to pull out is, and you guys might already know this, that the narrator of each episode was William Dozer, who was also the series creator and writer often. So it was his voice that was the iconic same bat time, same bat channel. Meanwhile, behind the facade of this cuckoo clock shop lurks an Albanian genius.
Please tell me you just made that up.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, good. Because it sounds so much like it would be in the show.
I think I made it up, but it might have actually been in the show. But there was always something crazy like that. Meanwhile,
and I don't know when it came in. I don't think it was in the very beginning, but eventually, whenever you were in the villain's lair, the camera was tilted.
Why did everything slide to one side?
Because
that was weird.
Well, you know that this place wasn't on the level.
How do you sell that if you're a real estate agent? Don't mind the floor. Everything's bolted down. It'll be fine. No, really.
Oh, and Mr. Freeze, which those were very interesting episodes, but just speaking of the gadgets, his heat thing, where he was always in blue, and then he would have these push-button things to bring like a path in that was red.
Oh, yeah,
enough. How the heck did that work? Just instantaneously, now it's not heat lamp. 200 below.
But it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think there was only the one version of them that had that. I think that was the Otto Preminger one. I think Eli Wallach just had the cold suit.
No, I think Eli Wallach had that too. I seem to remember one where he had that. But I mean, whenever he was out and about, he was in the cold suit. But when he was back in his base, I think that carried over to the other freezes.
That could be. Don't know.
Now I'm doubting myself.
As am I.
I don't know. I could still never see Eli Wallach in anything but The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Really,
no.
For me,
what about the Magnificent Seven?
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't seen that as many times.
Certainly had the iconic music.
Mm-hmm.
Just as much as The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Although, yeah, if I had to give him one role, it would be Tuco. I
was just thinking it would either do dun 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 dun, because that was Magnificent Seven, wasn't it?
That was it.
And then two fantastic westerns. But again,
yes,
this is not a Western podcast.
This is becoming the Everything in the Kitchen Sink podcast.
Well, I mean, we call that Back to the Bins.
Yeah. Well, that's right. You invited us, and this is what you get.
Point. Yeah. Maybe I should have split you guys up. I don't know.
I won't go anywhere without Bill.
No.
It's like how my daughter gets moved around in kindergarten because she talks too much to the next one. You can't sit next to her anymore.
Well, I mean, maybe we've gotten to so many other things because so many people were in this series. You know, and it has, you know, I mean, you could play 6 Degrees of Separation just with this show to other projects and people.
Maybe we do it because we do it with everything.
Or maybe we're just it's the way our minds are wired.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
The trivia computers you call brains.
We make that sound. We make that sound the back computer makes. You put the cards in the back of my head, the little punch cards.
The punch cards, yeah.
And the roll of Wall Street ticker tape paper spits out of my mouth, and I rip it off and read it. Oh, I need a new roll of paper. Shove it in there. Oh.
When was the point that you looked at the show and you realized, wait a second, that can't work? You know, there's a bunch of things in the show like the bat poles. You slide down and get changed at the same time.
Well, in my mind to this day, there's some sort of like
you step off,
like programmed robot hands that come out and redress them as they go down. And I don't mean it in a
salacious. And what? Sew the clothes back around them? Because how do they let go of the pole?
I don't know. But it just happens. It works. When they get to the bottom of the pole, let me ask you something. When they got to the bottom of the pole, did they have their costumes on?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
I thought maybe they slid down.
Somehow.
I thought they slid down. They stopped. There was two of them. They slid down the one, the changing thing, and then they jumped onto another pole and slid down.
Oh, that's just silly.
Now, what was really cool was when they went back up the poles.
Yes. And did you notice that he had to hit 2 buttons to do it, and it wasn't Batman and Robin buttons. It was go back up the pole and change out of costume buttons.
Mm. Oh, yeah. Oh, the iconic Shakespeare head. I didn't even know who that was.
Me neither.
But when hey, that's the Batman. That's the head that they flipped open so Batman can slide down to the Batcave.
Mm-hmm.
That's Shakespeare? Oh, what do you know?
He's famous because he's on Batman.
Holy iambic pentameter.
And it took that long to get a holy something or other into this show. I'm amazed.
I'm kind of proud of us.
Holy crap. You should end it right there.
That might actually be a good point.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Well, I mean, unless there's anything else you guys want to go over, we seem to be wandering all over the place right now.
See, I mean, there's only bits and pieces of, I can't name the episodes. I don't remember the names.
Right.
But I know most of the plots, and some of them were just completely crazy. Like I mentioned earlier, the big, gigantic birthday cake that, we need you to stand up here and pose in this. And even I knew that the baker was Frank Gorshin.
Right.
come on, you can't tell. Like, come on, can't you tell? That's the Riddler. No, don't get up there.
No, because the Riddler wears a mask when he's committing crimes, and this man doesn't have a mask on.
Yeah.
The Frank Gorshin laugh. I don't know. You got like a top 5 things about the show that you like, Paul, or that the like most memorable? You guys have like a top 5?
No, you know what? I would have to give that some thought and
yeah.
One and 2 would be Julian Omar and Yvonne Craig.
Oh, well, yeah. Mm. The Batmobile would have to be in there.
Yeah.
Just the Batcave in general.
Oh, but what about the Batusi?
Love the Batusi. Not one of my favorite actors, but I love the fact that it was recreated in Pulp Fiction.
Now, is that an actual dance?
The Batusi?
No, not the Batusi, but that whole with the eyes thing. Isn't that? Is that
the Watusi is a dance.
Is that what it's based on? But it's just they call it.
But I don't know if you do the eye thing in it or not. This may come as a shock to you, but I'm really not much of a dancer.
No. I could just picture you doing...
with that lithe, thin body.
I could see you filling out a Saturday, the John Travolta Saturday Night Fever suit quite nicely, going out onto the floor. By the way, Paul, use his walk. He's a woman's man. No time to talk.
Any weekend spent on the dance floor, taking it over.
Okay, well, I think we've successfully ground to a halt here.
I think we may have run out of topics.
Okay, well, in that case, we will be cutting the show off here, and I would like to thank both my guests, Mr. Paul Spataro and Dr. Bill Robinson from Back to the Bins on the Two True Freaks Internet Radio Network. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for agreeing to come on and raise the bar on my show.
It's been a pleasure. No. I don't know if we've raised anything.
Maybe a few eyebrows. That's about it.
But certainly, we'd like to reciprocate at some point and have you on Back to the Bins.
Oh, I'd love that. I can pull out something to read.
Whoa.
Let's not get too graphic here. Be careful what you pull out.
On that note, good night, everybody. Legends of the Superheroes is a production of thehammerstrikes.com. and focuses on examining live-action versions of superheroes. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please send an email to legends@thehammerstrikes.com. Please look for The Hammer Strikes on Facebook and Google+.